The man who loved the sauna. When I changed my career to become a security guard, I thought I was choosing a quieter life. No more dealing with difficult people or long commutes. Just calm night shifts and easy work, mostly sitting at a desk. I started working at a condominium building last year. It's a clean, modern place, built in 1994 with friendly residents, most of them elderly, and a nice set of amenities like a pool, hot tub, and sauna. Because of COVID, all those amenities have been closed. No one is allowed to use them except the staff, and even then, only when necessary. My job was simple. Watch the cameras, walk around the building a few times, and make sure everything was locked and safe. The building felt like any other modern place. Nothing creepy or strange, at least not at first. There was one resident I got to know during my first couple of months. He was an elderly man, always dressed nicely, always polite. Every night at exactly 10:30 p.m., he would come down to use the sauna. It became part of my routine to see him on the camera. He'd go into the pool area, walk to the sauna, stay there until 10:55, then leave through the back doorway. Before going out, he'd always buzz the security desk, smile or wave at the camera and say, "Good night." It was like clockwork, every single night. Then, right after Christmas, I heard he had passed away. Peacefully in his sleep, people said. I was sad to hear it. He was a kind man, always warm, and it felt weird not seeing him anymore. I didn't think much more about it. People pass away all the time, especially in buildings where most residents are seniors. But then, 3 weeks after his death, something strange started happening. At exactly 10:55 p.m., the same time he used to leave the sauna, the back doorway buzzer started going off. It buzzed like someone was trying to get my attention, just like he used to. I checked the camera feed, but there was nothing there. No one in the hallway, no one near the back door, just silence and an empty hallway. At first, I thought maybe it was a glitch. These systems are old, and the weather had been cold and damp. Maybe moisture was messing with the wires. I told the building super about it, and he went to check it out the next day. He said there was some dust in the buzzer panel, but otherwise everything looked fine. He cleaned it out and told me not to worry. But the buzzing kept happening. Every night, same time, same sound, no one there. After 3 more nights, it stopped, just like that. I waited the next few nights, expecting it again. Nothing. I started to relax a bit. Maybe it had just been the dust, or maybe some weird electrical thing. Then one night, something happened that I still can't explain. It was a Tuesday night, quiet like usual. Around 10:25 p.m., I had to use the bathroom. Not just a quick pee, I needed to poop. The only bathrooms we can use are the change rooms near the pool. That's where the sauna is. Staff have the keys to the area since the public can't access it due to the lockdown. So I grabbed my keys, unlocked the door, and went into the men's change room. It was completely silent. Just the usual echo of your own footsteps bouncing off the tiled walls. I went into the stall and sat down. I usually take my time, maybe scroll through my phone for 10 minutes. I wasn't expecting anything weird, just a normal bathroom break. But at exactly 10:33 p.m., I heard the wooden door of the sauna open. It made that deep, creaking sound only heavy wooden doors make. It was loud, clear, like someone had pulled it open slowly, then shut it again. I froze. At first, I thought maybe someone had snuck in. Maybe a resident found a way to open the locked area. But that didn't make sense. I had the only key on shift, and the door to the pool area was still locked when I entered. I waited. Nothing else. Just silence again. I sat there trying to listen harder. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe the building made a sound, or maybe it was the heating system. But the sound was too real, too specific. That door has a particular creak, one I'd heard dozens of times when that old man came in for his nightly sauna visits. I didn't wipe properly. I just grabbed the paper, rushed through it, and pulled my pants up so fast I practically hurt myself. I didn't even wash my hands. I ran straight out of the change room, back through the pool doors, and locked them behind me. I didn't go back to the men's bathroom for the rest of my shift. For the next few nights, I used the women's change room. I know it's weird, but I couldn't bring myself to go back into the men's. I couldn't explain what I heard, and I didn't want to hear it again. But curiosity is a strange thing. One night, after a week of using the other bathroom, I decided to check the security footage. I pulled up the camera for the pool area around 10:30 p.m. just to see. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe nothing. Maybe I just wanted to prove to myself that it was all in my head. The feed showed an empty pool room. Still. Silent. Then at 10:30 p.m. exactly, the sauna door opened. There was no one there. No shadow, no figure. But the door opened slowly, then closed again. Just like it did that night when I was in the bathroom. I paused the footage, rewound it, watched again. Same thing. The door moves by itself, then stops. I even zoomed in. Still no one. I didn't tell anyone. Not the building super. Not the condo board. Not even my wife. I thought about it, but how do you say something like that without sounding crazy? Hey, I think the ghost of a nice old man is still using the sauna. People would laugh, or worse, think I was losing my mind. So I kept quiet. But since then, small things keep happening. Once, I walked past the sauna door and felt warmth. The building heat is usually low at night, and everything is shut down. But the air near that door was warmer. Just there, like the sauna had been used recently. Another time, I found a wet footprint just outside the sauna room. Only one, like someone had stepped out of the sauna barefoot. No other footprints, no water trail, just a single wet print on the cold tile floor. It was gone the next time I walked by. Last week, I was doing my regular patrol. It was just after 11 p.m., and I had just finished checking the stairwells. As I passed the pool area door, I heard a quiet tap against the glass. I turned quickly, expecting to see someone. The hallway was empty, but I swear for a second I saw a shape, a soft light reflection, maybe a face, against the glass. It disappeared when I blinked. Every time I think maybe I imagined it all, something else small happens. A sound, a flicker, a feeling. Nothing huge, nothing dangerous, but always around the same time, always around 10:30 p.m. It's strange. I don't feel scared exactly. The old man was always kind to me. It doesn't feel like something evil, it feels familiar, like a habit that didn't stop even after death. Maybe he doesn't even know he's gone. Maybe this place, this sauna, was his comfort, his peace, and maybe now it's just where he returns. Still, I don't go near the men's change room anymore after 10. I don't want to be there if he ever decides to say hello. I've kept this all to myself until now, because maybe just maybe someone else out there has had something similar happen. Maybe I'm not the only one who's had a friendly ghost keep up their old habits. Maybe I'm not crazy. But one thing I know for sure, if you ever hear a buzzer at 10:55 p.m. and no one is there, don't answer it. Just smile, wave at the camera, and whisper, "Good night." The ghost in the ladies' room. I have worked for many years in a small boutique hotel in a quiet town in Wales. The hotel is very old. People say it's the oldest business in the town, standing for at least 500 years. It's next to a big crumbling castle, and people believe there has always been some kind of inn or place to stay on this land since the town began. Because the building is so old, it has a strange feeling to it. The floorboards creak, the doors groan, and sometimes the air just feels heavy. It's the kind of place that would be perfect for a ghost story, but I never really believed in that kind of thing. Not until I started working night shifts alone. One of my duties at the end of the night is to turn off all the lights around the hotel. The building has 3 floors. The second floor is where the guest rooms are. It's bigger than it looks from the outside, with many narrow, winding corridors and dark corners. Right at the top of the stairs on the second floor is the ladies' toilet. It sits above the old function room, which people rent for weddings or parties. That toilet is always the last place I turn off the lights. Each night, I walk slowly into the room. It's always cold in there, colder than the rest of the building. The lights buzz softly above my head. I turn off the first switch, then the second. By that time, I feel the chill crawl up my neck. The hairs stand up. I never wait to feel what might come next. I run. I run from the room, always leaving the last light for when I'm already out in the hallway, just reaching around the corner to flick it off, then rushing down the stairs without looking back. I thought I was just being silly. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe I'd watched too many horror films. One night, after a busy shift, some of us gathered at a colleague's house. We sat around smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, and talking about the usual things. For some reason, I brought up the ladies' toilet. I joked about how I hated turning the lights off there and how I always ran out with a strange feeling on my back. The room went quiet. 2 of my coworkers looked at each other, then back at me. One of them said, "Wait, you do that too?" The other nodded slowly. We all did it. Each of us had the same strange routine. We entered the room, turned off the first 2 lights, felt the same cold rush of fear, then ran out without turning off the last one until we were safely in the hallway. None of us had ever talked about it before. We all laughed nervously, but something about it felt wrong. If one person did that, it could be imagination. But all 3 of us, without ever telling each other, that was different. That felt real. After that night, I tried to find out more. I remembered hearing a story a long time ago about that part of the building. Someone said the ladies' toilet used to be an apartment. A woman had lived there many years ago, a longtime resident who died in the room. I can't remember who told me the story. Maybe it was just a rumor. When I asked my boss about it, he said he had worked there for over 30 years and had never seen anything strange. In the function room below, there's a painting of a woman hanging on the wall. No one knows who she is. My boss thinks it's just a random picture someone bought from a charity shop. But I wonder. Every time I walk past that painting, I feel like her eyes are following me. There have also been strange stories from the guests. One night, during a busy shift, the hotel phone rang. A woman on the line said she had stayed a few nights ago and wanted to ask if the building was haunted. I was too busy to talk and told her I didn't know. She didn't explain what had happened to her. She just thanked me and hung up. Another time, a woman who said she was a psychic came to the hotel. She asked to visit the ladies' toilet. When she came back down, she told me something that still makes my skin crawl. She said there was a spirit in that room, a female spirit who didn't like men entering her space. That's why my male coworkers and I felt so uncomfortable in there. She said the spirit was not evil, but she was strong and protective of her space. There was also a woman who visited the toilet and claimed she saw another woman in Victorian clothing. She wasn't scared. She just said it like it was a normal thing to see. She even smiled when she told me, as if it were something beautiful. But the strangest incident of all happened one evening. A guest went upstairs to use the bathroom. Time passed. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then 40. Finally, we heard a loud thud, like someone had fallen. We ran up the stairs and found her walking down slowly, her face pale and eyes wide. I asked if she was okay. She didn't say much. She told me she had been in the cubicle, and when she came out, everything was completely dark. Not just the lights off, total blackness. She said it felt like she wasn't in the same place anymore. Then she just left. She wouldn't say anything more. Since then, I've paid more attention to the room. Sometimes when I'm alone, I think I hear the soft sound of someone walking above me in the toilet, even though I know no one's there. Other times, I've found the lights on when I know for sure I turned them off. Once, I even thought I saw a shadow moving inside the room when I passed by the doorway. But the worst part is still the feeling. That cold, heavy chill. Like someone is standing right behind you, breathing softly, waiting for you to notice. I don't believe in ghosts. I never really have. But I can't explain what happens in that room. I've seen too much, heard too many stories, and felt that icy grip on my neck too many times to call it imagination anymore. My coworkers and I avoid the room when we can. If a guest needs help upstairs, we offer to wait for them outside. No one wants to be alone in there. It's strange, really. A toilet? Just an ordinary toilet. But something happened in that space, long ago. Something that left a mark on the walls, the air, the very feeling of the place. And I don't think it's going away. Not ever. The phone that shouldn't ring. I used to work at a psychiatric hospital in Michigan. My job was on the children's unit, and I worked the night shift. Most nights were quiet, but the silence didn't bring peace. It brought something else, something I'll never forget. The unit was shaped like a long hallway, and my desk was at one end. From where I sat, I could see the nurses' station. At night, there weren't many kids, and their doors had to stay closed unless they had a special staff person, called a sitter, watching them. That night, we only had a few kids, and all the doors were shut. I had just finished my rounds. This meant I walked the hallway to check on every patient, making sure they were sleeping or doing okay. When I came back, I sat down at my desk. It was around 3 a.m., the time when everything seems more still, more quiet, more wrong. Then the patient phone rang. The sound made me jump. That phone was on a different desk, not mine. It could only ring if someone at the nurse's station transferred a call to it. Patients didn't get outside calls directly at that hour. All calls had to be screened, and at 3 a.m., no one would be transferring calls, especially not as a joke. Still, I got up and answered it. "Hello?" I said. There was nothing, just silence. I waited a few seconds, thinking maybe someone was there and just not speaking, but it was dead silent, not even static. I hung up and walked to the nurse's station. The desk was empty. No one was sitting there. That was weird. A nurse should have been there. Then one of the nurses walked out from the hallway behind the desk. That hallway was part of the children's wing, but didn't have any patients in it that night. "Oh," she said. "That supply closet was a mess. I just cleaned it. Looks great now." I stared at her. "Wait, you were in the back hall just now?" "Yeah," she said, wiping her hands on a paper towel. "What's wrong?" Did you transfer a call to the patient phone?" She gave me a look like I was crazy. "No, why would I? No one does that." I didn't know what to say. She was right. No one would do that. Still, I followed her back to the supply closet. I don't know why I did it. Maybe just to see if she had really been there and not playing some trick on me. The closet looked spotless. Everything was on shelves, nothing on the floor. It looked like someone had taken their time organizing it perfectly. "See?" she said. "Told you it looked good." I nodded and walked back to my desk. I told myself the call had to be some glitch, a fluke. Maybe someone from another unit accidentally dialed the number. Maybe something got crossed in the phone lines. It was an old hospital after all. A few minutes passed. Then the phone rang again. My heart skipped a beat. I looked toward the nurse's station. I could see 2 staff members talking. They weren't on the phone. They weren't near the phone. But that phone, the patient phone, was ringing again. I walked over, picked it up, and said, "Hello?" Again, there was nothing. Just silence. This time, I didn't wait. I hung up, pulled the phone cord out of the wall, and placed the receiver down. That was enough of that. If something was wrong with the phone, it needed to stay silent. I told myself to remember to plug it back in before morning shift arrived. Then I sat down again, trying to calm my nerves. But before I could even take a deep breath, the phone rang. Except it wasn't plugged in. The cord was out. I saw it with my own eyes. Still, it was ringing. Not loud like a normal ring, but muffled, like it was coming from behind a wall or inside a dream. I stood up slowly. My hands were shaking. I walked over and lifted the phone again. "Hello?" This time, there was something. A soft humming. It was quiet, but I could hear it clearly. A woman's voice. It wasn't a song I knew, just long, slow humming, like a lullaby from some other time. I stood there frozen. I couldn't even move. Then loud crying echoed through the hallway. It came from one of the rooms. Not just any room, an empty one. I dropped the phone and ran toward the sound. The cry was sharp and sudden, like a child waking from a nightmare. As I ran, I saw the light under the door. One of the rooms had the overhead light on. That wasn't right. All empty rooms were dark. They were kept that way unless they were being cleaned or used. I reached the door. My hand shook as I pushed it open. No one was inside. The bed was made. The sheets were tight. The chairs were neatly tucked under the little table. The bathroom door was open. No one was there, but the light was on, and the room was cold. Not cool, cold. Like standing in a freezer. My skin got goosebumps, and the air felt heavy, like it was pressing against me. I backed out of the room and closed the door slowly. The crying had stopped. I turned and walked back toward my desk, but my legs felt like they weighed 100 pounds. The hallway, long and straight, suddenly felt endless. When I sat down again, I looked at the unplugged phone. It was quiet now. No humming, no ringing, but I felt watched. I couldn't see anything strange. The hallway was the same. The nurse's station was the same. But the feeling that something was looking at me was stronger than ever. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination, that the late hour, the dark rooms, and the strange phone were all just playing with my mind. But I couldn't sit there anymore. I waited until shift change. When the sun started to rise and the first shift nurses came in, I quietly packed up my things. I told the charge nurse I wouldn't be back. She didn't seem surprised. Before I left, she said, "That hallway gets strange at night. I don't blame you." That was it. No shock, no questions, just a quiet understanding. Since leaving, I've heard stories from other staff. Stories about that same hallway, that same phone, that same hum. Some say the room I went into used to belong to a girl who had terrible night terrors. She used to scream and cry and sing strange songs at 3 a.m. One night she stopped crying and never woke up again. Others say there was a nurse years ago who died on her shift. She was found in the supply closet, sitting on the floor. They say her body was cold, like she had been dead for days, even though her shift had just started. I don't know what's true. I just know what I saw, what I heard. The phone that rang when it was unplugged, the crying from an empty room, the humming voice that still haunts me. I've never gone back, and I never will.
If you like the video, please give it a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.